Welcome to today's episode of Interviews, where we are honored to host Mr. Vijay Nandakumar, a visionary leader in life sciences and healthcare industry. With a solid foundation from Duke School's Fuqua School of Business and a background in bioengineering from the University of Tennessee, Mr. Vijay has co-founded D-Cube and Analytics. He has played a pivotal role in transforming the BioPharma Commercial Services space. His career encompasses significant achievements in clinical R&D, business strategy, and the innovative application of data science tools in healthcare. Today, Mr. Vijay will share his insights on how teenagers can get a head start in the healthcare and life sciences fields from an entrepreneur's point of view. Mr. Vijay, is there anything you'd like to add before we start?
No, Mahesh, I think it's a great introduction. Thank you for that.
Thank you. If you were a teenager in today's society with the current knowledge you have, what would you do differently to make sure that you are ahead of everyone else in your niche?
Oh, okay. So that's so if everybody had a retrospective vision, it'll be 2020. That means if you go back in time, you can do a lot of things differently. For me personally, I think I would do a lot of practical learning, right? So me growing up in India, as you know, there was a lot of theoretical learning. If I were a teenager back, I would probably invest more time in learning more practically, which means getting a diverse set of experiences. It doesn't have to be in the field of interest that you eventually hone in on, but just to go out there in the real world and get a hang and sense of things. So that's something that I'll definitely do differently. Also would not have taken too much stress as a teenager. And if I say that you guys in your current generation have a lot more to handle, because we didn't, the classic case, we didn't have social media, we didn't have access to information as you guys do, and we also didn't exchange information as much as you guys do. So I would say definitely take a health check, because as teenagers, I think the health foundation is going to be very, very important, because that's going to really, dictate how you excel in any field that you choose.
And do you think if you had the opportunity to try various things like you just said, you'd still pursue in business, or would it be something different?
I personally, I think I would have gravitated towards business, because, I started, my engineering journey in electrical. So there was a period of time when I wanted to do robotics, right? And this is back in 2000s. And then I got interested in biomedical sciences. So I did a lot of translational biomedical engineering. And then I went into pure biology. So I was doing a lot of, blood and tissue work. And then I said, okay, you know what? Nothing excites me as much as actually going out there and converting these things into an actual business case, and putting a business around it, and generating value, right? So for me personally, I think that was the ultimate end point. So whatever path I would have taken, I don't think I would have chosen a final destination differently.
Okay. Can you share with us what sparked your interest in life science field when you were younger, and how teenagers can identify and pursue their passions in similar fields?
Sure. So I think for in my case, I think my parents were an influence. I think my father, especially, he was in the pharmaceutical world, and on my mother's side, we had a couple of folks in the medical profession. So I got to see how they provided care to patients. So it really sparked and piqued my interest. I didn't necessarily kind of got motivated to become a doctor or something, but I really wanted to focus on that field. Hey, this is something you could do a lot of different things in the larger healthcare and life sciences space. It's not just acting as a medical professional or caregiver. It could be the pharmaceutical space, it could be in the medical device space. So I think just having that influence around me as I was growing up, I think that's naturally sparked my interest in that field, because I was just exposed to a lot of information around that industry.
And teenagers, once they figure out what they want to do you recommend they find people with like mind, or do you want to have them get people from different point of views to see what they want?
See, I'll give you how it really plays out, right? So if you ask me in God's honest truth that I knew what I wanted to do when I was a teenager, I'd be lying. Right? So you as a teenager should be, I don't think there's a set path to anything, Mahesh, right? I think you just have an open mind. Okay, there are so many different things, and in today's world, things are evolving very, very fast. So I would say, just let your mind at ease and explore different topics. That's why, if you look at the educational foundations, that's the reason it's very broad, right?
Yeah.
I have a teenage daughter at home, so we've always had questions, philosophical questions on why am I learning calculus, when am I ever going to use calculus in life, right? But that's not the point. The point is you are exposed to a broad variety of things, and then it will naturally find you what's you're calling, it will naturally find you. So I would say, as teenagers, I don't think you can really hone in on something that you really want to do for the rest of your lives. But I mean, there are obviously edge cases where people really know what they want to do, and they go out after it. But for the most part, I would say just be like a sponge, right? Absorb a lot of information, and then you will find your calling.
Okay. Reflecting on your education at Duke University and your time studying bioengineering, what advice could you give teens today about choosing their educational path that led to a career in life sciences or healthcare?
Again, I think that's maybe a continuation of what the previous question was. See, when I was growing up in India, our the educational path and systems are completely different to what is there in the US today, right? I mean, even back in the day, the US was different, because when we came here and found out that one of my the friends who was doing undergraduate in mechanical engineering decided that he's going to go to medical school, I was like, what are you talking about, right? So, and then I learned that it's not really something that you have to commit to, even at high school or college, or even post college, right? So when I was growing up, it was very regimented in that way. So even at equivalent of 11th grade, we really had to choose what we want to kind of become. So reflecting back, I wish it was not like that. Back in our educational system, I think I would be more open, and I would probably thrive more in a US kind of educational system. So in the same vein, I mean, like I said, right? I mean, I had a very diverse career path. I mean, it took a while to figure out what exactly I wanted to do. So I think if you kind of segment it in undergraduate, as you kind of get in, the only aim was to get into a good college, right? So good university. So I want to make sure that I had really good foundations and I had a name brand that could really open doors for me, right? So that was aim number one, to get a solid 4-year college. Then at the next level, whether you're doing a master's, PhD, or some sort of postgraduate, I think that's where you really hone in. And I think you will kind of get what your calling is around between the second and third years of college, and then you kind of work towards whether it's a pre-med or preparing for a master's in any of the sciences or business or whatever. You will kind of get your bearings at that point. I think it will just naturally come to you, right? Again, I don't want to simplify it too much, but I would say as you kind of go, also have a viewpoint into what's happening in the market, right? So it's not always what you hear from people around you, but also try to take information outside in. So that means talking to individuals across fields, like and right now we always hear about AI in everything, right? So that's like the thing. So the next, I'd say, a couple of decades, AI, anything you do in AI, you're not going to go wrong. So I would say take a lot of different perspectives in, talk to obviously your well-wishers, your network, but also try to read what's happening in the outside world, and then your career will shape itself.
Okay, and I really like how you talked about branding. How do you really recommend these teenagers to get their branding high, so no matter what career they go in, they succeed in?
That's a great point. I think it's a journey, right? I mean, brands are not built overnight, and it applies to human beings as brands as well. So I think it's a very whatever you have to do it purposefully, right? I think that's the most important thing, because when you look back, or if anyone else looks back on your body of work, it should look pretty natural, and it had kind of followed a very organic evolutionary path, as opposed to different blocks just put together.
Yeah.
So I would say look at all the things that people have done to excel themselves in the field. I mean, if you're an athlete, you train, you maintain fitness, and then you kind of do the best that you can. And same thing, right? If you want to become a computer scientist, make sure that you are 2 steps ahead of the game in terms of learning the languages that you need to learn. So I think it's very domain dependent in
Mm-hmm.
terms of what you want to do, but I'd say do it with purpose and do it with a long term vision in mind, and make sure that whatever you're doing, is incrementally adding to your long term vision. Okay. And again, this is very very hard to say unless you talk about a specific field, right? So but in general, have these guidelines, like be real, be purposeful.
Okay. And then for like the entrepreneurship specific domain
Yeah.
that we're both in, what do you really recommend?
Okay, so entrepreneurship is a very exciting journey, right? I think it's something that gives you, I think it gives something that gives you a lot of freedom,
Mm-hmm.
but it also comes with a lot of challenges, right? So anybody who looks at an entrepreneur from the outside in,
Mm-hmm.
they always think, wow, he's an entrepreneur, cool, he runs a startup, right? But it's never the case. I mean, you as a founder go through a life every day.
Yeah.
You basically get reborn every morning. You have to wake up with the same energy because you're going to not only believe in your own purpose, but you have to translate that purpose to your coworkers and employees, right? And that's how you motivate. And it's never about just dollars and options and stocks for entrepreneurs to succeed. It's true conviction,
Mm-hmm.
and they really have to believe in themselves and motivate the team to achieve the goals that they want to do. So for entrepreneurship, I think it's I would really recommend a lot of experiential learning, which means go and actually be in the real world, right? I think you can attend seminars about entrepreneurship. You can talk to people who have scaled and exited companies,
Mm-hmm.
but I think it's important to have your own experience. And whether you're again, I'm not trying to dumb it down, but whether it's a lemonade stand or whether you're starting your own pet sitting business or whatnot, you will go through many cycles, and an entrepreneur will go through, right?
Yeah.
It's about identifying what's your target market. It's about making sure that you have an offering that fits that target market. And then it's about understanding what competition does. How do you stand out? Right? And then it all comes together to create value for your ultimate customer. And then you got to do it again and again, and then you have to do it at scale, right? So I think those are things that you'll only learn as you go. And it's a fascinating pursuit. I think if you ask me, I would say everyone in their life should only at least try entrepreneurship for at least once. And the statistic is 93% of entrepreneurs fail, which is fine. I mean, it's an experience and a journey, not a destination. Whatever you learn as an entrepreneur, you will really carry it in any professional journey that you will go. So I'd say experience it. If you obviously there are a lot of good universities with a lot of courses and real life experiences that they offer. Either do something small to get that feel, join a startup that gives you a lot of real life experience. I think organization building is something that you really need to enjoy as an entrepreneur. So if you don't enjoy that, I would say don't just don't do it.
Yeah, so not enjoying delegation is really a bad sign for entrepreneurs.
Yeah.
So basically, the sum is like, if you have to build your own brand, discipline and motivation are the most important to become an entrepreneur.
100%. And also a sense of purpose, right? It's like, what do you want to leave behind? I mean, a lot of people, philosophically say, hey, what are you going to take when you pass away, right? It's never that. It's always, what are you going to leave behind as a legacy? It's not just the money. It's not just, property or whatnot. It's hey, you did something that created value, changed some lives. And I don't mean this to be cheesy, but you do change lives. It does happen when you create something of value.
Yeah. What specific skills do you believe are crucial for teenagers interested in your field, and how might they begin developing these skills through school projects or extracurricular activities?
So in my field, I'll kind of give it a two-dimensional answer, right? So one is the broader life sciences healthcare field, right? And then the functional part of it is you can say what you can call as a general management or business, right now. I would say any success in any field, I think, start from having a good organizational routine, meaning start from your own rooms, right? And this is the biggest advice I really want to give teenagers. I don't really like giving advice Okay, but at the same time, if there's anything that I can pass on as wisdom, um, really try to start from your own rooms. Okay, as teenagers, having your room organized, and I mean this very seriously, right, and a routine organized in your lives will go a long way. It will go a long way in having your own confidence up. It will go a long way in having your own convictions up, and just that extra 2 3 hours that you get in every day by just waking up a little early, or making sure that you have time to kind of get off devices, or not worry about any other tests or something. Just giving you that space is going to be vital. Okay, and you do that for like a few weeks, it becomes a habit, and then it becomes second nature. And I'll tell you, Mahesh, that gives you a big leg up when you go in the real world.
Yeah.
You'll see a lot of people who appear very organized, but most of them are not. Right, so I think if you're really and truly organized from within, that really kind of extrapolates itself to all aspects of what you do. So that will come out as you being an extremely sincere and outstanding kind of an individual, which get noticed by whoever is there observing you, and then that results in you accessing more opportunities. So I would say very simple things, right? Just make sure that you have a proper routine. Try to obviously stay off unnecessary habits. Those are never going to be helpful in life. I know, as teenagers you want to explore a lot of different things, but I would say just stay off things as much as possible. And I have been in a medical lab where I have scraped cells out of actual human organs. Okay, and I've seen diseased lungs, I've seen diseased livers. People who consume tobacco, alcohol, and all, and they are not good sights, man. Okay, so I'm talking purely from a physiological standpoint. You don't want to do that to your own bodies. Good body, good mind, good outcomes. So focus on that. That's all you guys can do right now. And then that's a good solid base. With that, all the experiences around you that you get, you will easily find what you want to do.
In today's society, keeping it simple is really hard with all the influences, your phone, social media.
Exactly.
So the best way is just cleanse yourself and just get the foundation up.
Get the foundation out. Absolutely. That's really, really the key. I cannot emphasize this more because you see a lot of temptation, and I think most of the teenagers, what they don't realize is they have the best stage possible in their lives, especially those in the US. And I'm talking, I'm hoping that this is seen by a lot of your friends who are based here and in the US in general. You guys have a fantastic stage. Okay, all you have to do is show up, dress well, and show up. So just focus on that.
Okay, thank you so much. And then for high school students aspiring to enter the life science sectors, what courses or activities do you recommend to help them get ahead?
Okay, so life science is a very interdisciplinary space, right? So you can be kind of going deep in chemistry, biology, math, believe it or not, computer science, and still be in life sciences, right? So there is a core biology aspect of life sciences, which is obviously the most obvious to anyone who's looking from outside in. Obviously, you're dealing with cells, you're understanding human body and all those things. But then chemistry plays a humongous role as well, right? So as in drug development and all those things, biochemists and all those folks are the ones who basically do a lot of initial discovery, right? So and then math, computational modeling is a big thing in life sciences. So there's a lot of computer aided modeling and things like that. So you can just be a genius in math and still have a career in life sciences. And then computer science, obviously AI plays a huge role in today's life science area, right? Business, right? If you can still be a business major and then come to run a hospital or come to run a pharmaceutical company, medical device company. So very interdisciplinary. So you really don't have to say, hey, if I have to be in life sciences, I have to do these courses. No, not really. Actually, I would say, take a balanced approach. Make sure that you have access to all the basic sciences. For sure, you definitely want to at least touch each of these disciplines: chemistry, biology, physics, math, and then computer science. And then as you go through college, try to see, is there one area that really interests me. I think business, obviously is a little bit more, it gives you a lot more fungibility, meaning you take a business skill and you can apply it in almost every field. Whereas the other sciences kind of limit you to maybe a few industries. But still, again, like I said, as you go through the first few years of college, you will kind of get that calling.
So being all-rounded is very important.
All-rounded to start with, and then it's I view this, think of a pyramid, right? That's the easiest analogy if you want to take it. As you kind of go through college, or maybe a rising senior in high school, you want to be broad. And then as you kind of go through the first few years of college through graduation, then you want to specialize. Yeah.
Throughout your career, you've navigated many challenges and changes. What foundational attitudes or skills do you think teenagers should develop to effectively handle future challenges in their careers?
Okay, so foundational attitudes. I think just a positive attitude is very, very important. So when I started building my company, and the first 10-20 people of a company are very, very important. When we hired them, we saw 99% we screened for attitude, 1% for skill, because skill can be learned. Okay, it can be taught. Attitude cannot be. It has to be earned, meaning you have to go through it. Okay, it's very important to have a positive and bold attitude. Okay, you are going to fall 100 times in any aspect of your life every day. What is important is not be worried about the fall and be treating yourself as a victim, but having the tenacity to just stand up and try again. Okay, I would say, you guys know obviously Captain America, right? A really very, very simple line, but it's very useful for you guys. What does Captain America say? I can do this all day. Okay, if any of you guys don't know what I'm referring to, you can just Google it, it'll turn up, right?
Yeah.
That's what the attitude should be, right? I mean, that's what it has helped me. Like, obviously, man, like if you get into a challenging situation, you're bummed, you're like, oh, why is this happening to me? And it's okay to take a couple of days to kind of process it, but I would say just have the tenacity to bounce back. I think that's very important. There are so many examples. If you look across the world, people have bounced back from nothing. I mean, people have lost everything that they have had. In some cases, they have almost been, gone to the end of their lives, come back, have been physically completely, challenged, and then still overcame those things and achieved success in life. Okay, there's so many examples. I mean, I can give you some offline examples. You can post it for people to read about in sports and business and any aspect that you take, right? Just draw inspiration from that, and then I would say have the tenacity that, okay, you know what, this is life. Not everything is going to be hunky dory, and just go with the flow.
Yeah,
that's all. I think that's very, very important. I mean, and as teenagers, I've seen that. I'm seeing you guys, I'm seeing my daughter and her friends. I think that is something that I'm a little concerned about, in the sense that you guys are a lot more in a comfort zone. I think one request I would have is, this is why I think traveling is important. Okay, I think at the very first opportunity you get, I would request you travel as much as possible. Go and see what the outside world is. Travel to we're all from India, so travel to India, go to different places, go on a safari to Africa. It's a very cathartic experience. You will know how big the world is and how small you are. So it's all about perspective, right? So I would say, please travel. Try to learn about so many different cultures, how people are coming from nothing. that really should give you guys a lot of confidence, right? I think never lose that confidence. Never let anyone tell you that you can't do it. You may not be able to do it, okay, but you will realize it, and then you can just change tracks. That's fine, but don't be bogged down and stay down. Always bounce back.
How has mentorship influenced your professional journey, and how should teenagers seek out and engage with mentors in the life sciences field or entrepreneurship?
Mentorship is huge. Okay, I would be lying if I said all I did in my life was just because of myself, right? There were points in my life when I was completely clueless, right? As with everybody, there will still be points in my life where I'm completely clueless, because not everybody experiences everything. Okay, and especially as teenagers, you're all going through a lot of pressures. You're thinking about, what am I going to do? Is this right? Is that right? Should I become a doctor because my friend is becoming a doctor? I think that's when mentorship becomes really crucial. I have had several mentors through different stages of my life, whether it was college, whether it was my pre-business school times, and then post-business school, pre-entrepreneurial journey, during entrepreneurial journey. So I think I can draw upon many instances when I've called upon people who have gone through the journey, and I think that's a very natural thing, right? I think I mean, nobody is a master of anything, but at least I have walked more steps than you, so you can definitely call someone like me, or whoever, right? Whoever has around my experience level, and say, hey, you guys, you did this. I'm trying to understand if I should do it. Can you guide me? I mean, I'm sure 90% of people would be willing to help. Okay, I mean, because I received a lot of help, so I'm obligated to provide a lot of help, right? So I think I would say, don't be shy. I think reach out and talk to people in multiple disciplines. I mean, there are a lot of college kids who have changed from becoming, who have told that, hey, I want to become a doctor and nothing else. And then they have spoken to physicians who practice in real life. They've shadowed them, and then they've come back and said, no, this is not for me. This is not my lifestyle. So those things actually are life-changing decisions, right? So if you look at, in today's world, I mean, you have reviews for everything. I mean, even if before you buy a small product on Amazon, you look at reviews and say, hey, this is good. Influencer is saying, yeah, I should go for it. So life-changing decisions, mentorship is crucial, and having the right mentor is crucial. So just make sure that you have the right mentors, and not everyone is the right mentor. So that's also a challenge, that you need to identify the mentor properly, and just have a conversation. Ask any questions, and the more questions you ask, the more clarity you will get. Some will be obvious, some will be some things that you might have to just experience and learn for yourself. So but as a general principle, just seek out. Mentorship is very, very important. Usually for teenagers who are trying to prepare for college, best mentors would be people who are in college, right? Who have gone through the journey in the last few years. They would have a lot of learnings. I mean, for me, I routinely used to access the forums, in my pre-MBA days, and then try to understand how people have gone through different journeys. Used to reach out to them, set up calls, go for coffee meetings, just ask them what did they do, what would they do differently, like how you are asking me. I think just reach out to students who are in their third, fourth year of college. That'll be your best resource.
And then for people that are scared to reach out, like for example, I have to reach out to a lot of people for these interviews. Some say no, some say yes. How can they get over this fear?
Okay, that's there's no easy pill to get over this fear, right? I think it is, again, it's attitude. So this is a great experience in itself. See, now, again, I'm not saying you have, but let's say in the course of this initiative that you're doing, you reach out to 50 people, and let's say even 10 say no. You have faced 10 rejections. That's a learning. Okay, rejections are great, because they will punch you in the gut. They'll make you feel like, oh shoot, I thought everything is going to be on a platter, but no, life is not on a platter. So I think, see, that's why there's a famous adage that says, like, showing up is half the battle. So you have to show up, just if you don't do it, if you're shy about reaching out, hey, someone's going to do it. So Mahesh is already reaching out. So if someone else is shy, you're already giving two steps ahead to your potential competition, right? So I think it's all perspective.
Yeah.
Like, challenging yourself out of comfort zone is the most challenging thing to do. But I think at one point, life will force you to come out and do it. I had several points. I would never have contacted anybody. I would never have cold called anybody. But there were several points in my life where I had to, just had to.
The life sciences industry is rapidly evolving. What emerging trends should teenagers be aware of if they aspire to a career in this dynamic field? I know you've mentioned AI. Is there any specific niches within that you recommend?
See, life sciences, and again, let me talk broadly. Okay, so life sciences is um, I I view it, again, it's not an accepted definition, but I kind of view it as a continuum of what I call as bench to bedside. Okay, and I'll explain what that is. Bench is basically where all the basic research happens. So someone has an idea, they say, okay, this chemical mixture will really impact this biological pathway, which can really have a positive outcome for people with this disease. So they do a lot of research in the bench. Then it goes to animals. Then it goes to humans. And then if everything looks good, they approve. And then finally, it's given to the patient in the bed, right? So that's the bench to bedside value chain. That does not change. Okay, till humans are around, that value chain at a high level will not change, but the process will change, right? So if you look at it, earlier it used to take, I mean, even today it probably does take, but um, if you see a lot of prescription drugs that your parents might have taken or you might have picked up for your parents, most of the prescription drugs go through this journey of development and all those things, right? Earlier it used to be very long, now maybe slightly shorter, but not as efficient as we would like to. But it used to go through long periods of animal studies, preclinical studies, clinical studies, and whatnot. Now with the advent of a lot of data and AI, there's a lot of computational modeling and AI based modeling that's being done, that's replacing a lot of these expensive long trials, right? um, it's still not there. It's still, I would say, fairly at its infancy. So this is an area that will really augur well. I mean, if you kind of look at applications of AI in the entire therapy development space, let me not say drug, because it's not just medicines, it's also medical devices and things like that. So if you look at the whole therapy development space and the application of AI, that's huge. Okay, and that's not a topic that we can cover in this podcast, but that in itself, there are so many different pockets that you can try and have use cases that I think that as a topic, I think you can kind of have it as a leave back for your viewers. Just AI in drug development and medicine development, that's huge. Okay, that's going to be a topic for the next couple of decades at least, because this is a very regulated industry, Mahesh, right? So you're putting things in human beings, so it goes through a lot of scrutiny, right? It's not like Amazon where you go and, okay, I'm just going to buy this. So there's a lot of innovation happening in retail and all those things, because it's not really going to be risky, right? But here you can't just apply things to oh, now AI is going to take over drug level. It doesn't happen like that. It takes multiple years of validation and application and research. So that is going to be a trend for the next several years, broadly. Um, I would say, under that it has a lot of disciplines, right? I think there is pure computer science disciplines where people are looking at synthetic data. I don't know if you've heard of that term, but you can actually have AI create data that can then be used to inform decisions around medicine development and whatnot. There is AI approaches to finding the right patients for this therapy. So there's a lot of different things. I don't want to go into the details because it might be a little bit complicated for this discussion. But I would say just take up AI as a general field of study. There's a lot of applications in life sciences and beyond. So even if you're not going to be in life sciences, you won't go wrong in that discipline.
And talking about like the business way, let's say you were a teenager today, right?
Yeah.
You see all these trends. What is the first thing that you're doing?
As a teenager, I probably wouldn't know what to do. Again, that's where I want to make sure that this stays real for your viewers, right? So don't think that, don't boil the ocean. Okay, when I say that, you don't have to be on top of every trend, right? I think as teenagers, I would let me back up a little bit. Okay, so when you say, question back to you, so when you say knowing these trends, what would you do? What I'm asking you, what would you do?
Well, so what I'm doing, like for example, with I have a business, electric bike business. I saw electric bike trends. North Carolina has no market, but there is demand there. Me and my business partner, old business partner, we went to parks, tested out the demand, and we saw that there was a demand in Cary. But we saw that people went away because of the price of the electric bikes. So we found a service that could convert regular bikes into electric bikes. So I just try to like see trends like this and try to initiate it. Sometimes I've started businesses before, they don't go well, but I just start like try to see new trends and start businesses from those.
Okay, see, that's great, right? So probably that's an advice I would give. I didn't do it, but I'm saying I'm kind of trying to merge two questions. If I were a teenager, I would really try to just understand the commonsensical application of these things. Meaning, is there a business sense in these things? Because at the end of the day, you could have the most vibrant and disruptive bleeding edge technology, but if there's no application for it, it's I'm sorry to say, it's useless, right?
Yeah.
So as a teenager, just try to understand, okay, what is all this noise about, right? Like try to simplify that noise into, okay, oh, okay, I don't need to really understand all the modeling intricacies and all these things right now, but I can understand that people are excited about X because it does Y. So having that common denominator understanding is very important. So if I were a teenager and I had someone advising me, I would just try to understand the so what of anything. If you hear anything new or any new trend, just try to double click into the so what. So that really brings a lot of context and perspective.
Yeah.
Okay, and that will really enhance your understanding as you go deeper into a subject. So it'll always give you the context in the back of your mind. Okay, this is why. Ultimately, this is what we are trying to get as an outcome. So once you get that kind of a basic understanding, any field is easy to crack.
So like for example, if you'd consume something, you'd ask the question, why am I consuming?
Why am I consuming? And also the other thing I actually learned very late in my career is everyone has different learning modalities. Okay, not everyone learns by textbooks. Okay, there are people who learn really well visually.
Yeah.
So, and I am so happy for you guys that there's a lot of visual modalities today, YouTube, Khan Academy, you name it, right? There's a lot of things that you can actually visualize in 3 dimension. Now you will have the aha moments, right?
Yeah.
So I think use those, understand whether you are an podcast person or whether you're a video person or a textbook person. Really try to get your right way of learning, and then just get that so what first sorted out. And the other thing is also try to simplify the complex words, because a lot of learning blocks come from not understanding the semantics of the words, right? When I say semantics, this is the meaning of the words, right? In medicine is a good example. You see a lot of Latin words in medicine, and you're like, oh my god, so complicated. But then if you really just go behind it and understand, okay, this is what it means, and then translate that into English or whatever language you're comfortable with, everything becomes very simple. Okay, so that having your own in-brain translator is a very good tool. Okay, as teenagers, try to see how you can get to that, in the sense, okay, if I'm reading a complex sentence, how can I break it down so that it's easy for me to understand? I think that's a really good tip that I realized it very, very late in my career, and by that time I didn't have any more exams to take, but just giving you as a tip.
So your learning style, identifying that's very,
very important. Yeah.
Do you believe in honing in on your strengths or strengthening your weaknesses more?
In what context? I think it's again about it's if a context demands your strength, then you do that. Strength. See, I don't want to be too generic for you and your viewers, but at the same time, there is a thing called SWOT analysis in business. Do you know about that?
Strength, weakness,
opportunities and threat, right? Again, very theoretical exercise. It's good for companies at a strategy session, but it's also maybe good for you guys as you step into that college application year, right? I think that's most important step in your careers. So do a SWOT and see what you can do to maybe convert some of those threats into opportunities and weaknesses into strengths. And it's different for everyone, and maybe there are things that you cannot change, which is fine. So just increase the other side, so it kind of counterbalances the weaker aspects.
Okay. And then finally, do you recommend students pursue education or get hands-on experience? Like, for example, do you recommend they take business courses or start a business more?
Again, it depends on what stage they are at. I would say a mix of both is important. So when you're in college, maybe start something small where the cost of failure is not big. You can afford to fail. And that way you can really apply what you learned to what you're doing. But nothing teaches you like practical learning. So again, it depends on what long-term career aspirations you all have, and it doesn't hurt to go through the professional programs. It definitely gives you the right skill set. It gives you the right weaponry that you can store in your arsenal to go and succeed in a professional career. But nothing can teach you to be failure proof in entrepreneurship. So that you have to go through, stumble, learn, get up, and hopefully be lucky.
Okay. Well, thank you so much for coming out today. I know a lot of people benefit from this. And this is Mr. Vijay Nandakumar. I'll have his LinkedIn in the profile just in case you want to reach out to him. So thank you so much for coming out.
Absolutely. Good luck, Mahesh. Thanks.